My wife skipped a family visit to cheer on her assistant at a regatta, so I ruined her. During the holiday weekend, my wife accompanied her junior assistant to a regatta. The assistant flaunted it on his social media feed. Thanks to my boss for the encouragement. Just wait, I'll bring home the championship for you. In the accompanying photo, my wife, who is usually so conservative, was dressed in a sexy maid's outfit, holding a banner to cheer for him. This was the same woman who, just this morning, had turned down my invitation to visit my parents, claiming she was too busy with work. So this was the work she was so busy with. I stared at the post, then forwarded it to my wife with a question. So, this is what you meant by busy with work? The moment I sent the message, the assistant started a live stream to announce his victory. In response to my question, my wife simply turned off her phone. On the stream, the assistant wrapped his arm around my wife and grinned at the reporters. It's all thanks to my boss. I only won this championship because of her. My wife, her face flushed with a shy smile, nestled into his arms. They looked for all the world like a blissfully happy couple. The next second, I dialed the number for my company's headquarters. Halt all financing for the Blackwood Corporation. Sever all business ties with them, effective immediately. Then I posted the live stream video and screenshots online. CEO's wife refuses to visit husband's family, instead dresses provocatively to cheer on her assistant at a regatta. Congratulations to my wife. Looks like she's got a boyfriend now. Chapter 1. After posting, I clicked into Leo Chase's live stream. The camera zoomed in for a close-up of Victoria Blackwood and Leo Chase, their hands clasped together around the trophy. Leo's arm was wrapped tightly around Victoria's waist. She leaned against him, her expression shy and her gaze adoring, as if they were the only two people in the world. At that moment, the comment section was filled with blessings. OMG, this PDA is hitting me right in the feels. He won the championship to give the medal to his boss? She's not his boss, she's his wifey, the powerful female CEO and her junior assistant. I ship them so hard. Suddenly, the number of viewers in the live stream exploded as a flood of new users poured in. Isn't that Victoria Blackwood, CEO of Blackwood Corporation? And the guy next to her must be the assistant. What has the world come to? A female CEO dressed like a tarted-up strumpet. Do people even try to hide their affairs anymore? A tramp and a scumbag, they can both go to hell. In just a few moments, the tone of the comment section had completely changed, and the screen was flooded with vile insults. The users who had been fawning over the attractive couple a second ago instantly changed their tune. The couple, who had been radiating sweetness and love on the stream, felt their smiles freeze as they saw the screen fill with filth. And in less than 5 minutes, the number of viewers had skyrocketed from 100,000 to tens of millions. As more users arrived, more people joined the online mob. Victoria and Leo's faces grew uglier and uglier. Just as they were about to offer a defense, voices from the crowd on site cut in. Is that them? Are those two the ones from the live stream? Yeah, that's them, a homewrecker and a harlot. You're not welcome here. Get the hell out. A hand from the crowd slapped the live streaming device, sending it crashing to the ground. The crowd erupted in anger, and two helpless voices could be heard through the screen. No, that's not what this is. We're not. Don't smash that. The next second, a notification appeared. The live stream had been forcibly terminated for violating community guidelines. A trending news alert popped up on my phone. I saw that my post had already shot to the #1 trending topic. Chapter 2. I was about to click in and read the comments when Victoria's call came through. She was screaming with every ounce of strength she had. Sincere Morgan, have you lost your mind? How could you spread such rumors about your own wife online? Because of you, Leo and I were not only subjected to baseless insults and thrown out of the regatta, but the trophy was even smashed. Leo is covered in bruises now, and he's consumed with guilt. You will delete that post immediately and then issue a public clarification, listening to her imperiously bossing me around. I let out a bitter laugh. Victoria, have you no shame? I stated the facts. What did I say that was wrong? You two deserved everything you got. Her voice faltered for a second, then rose even higher. What facts? That was slander, Sincere Morgan. There is absolutely nothing going on between Leo and me. As for your parents, I can go visit them any time. But Leo is different. He has no family here, and he just wanted to join in the fun and participate in the regatta for the holiday. As his boss, I went to cheer on my subordinate. What's wrong with that? She was so self-righteous, as if I were the one making a big deal out of nothing. As for this outfit, my own clothes got dirty by accident. I just bought this from a random shop on the street. Why are you being so petty? She rationalized everything, even turning the blame back on me. Sincere Morgan, the only reason you see filth everywhere is because you have a filthy mind, I sneered. Oh? A random shop on the street just happens to sell maid outfits? Why didn't you just wear a bikini then? Besides, was it me who commented on your clothes? The public isn't blind. Don't treat everyone like they're a fool. My words left Victoria speechless. After a pause, she struggled to suppress her anger, attempting to speak to me rationally. Sincere, I'm not calling to fight with you. This incident has already affected the company's stock. The board has been calling me. You need to delete that post now and clarify everything. Ab solute lie not. I enunciated each word, my refusal absolute. Victoria, clearly not expecting such a blunt rejection, resorted to threats. Sincere Morgan, if you don't delete the post and clear this up, you can forget about me ever going to see your parents with you again, I scoffed. Victoria, do you really think you're something special? Let me tell you, that won't be necessary. You'd better stay hidden in that assistant's arms for the rest of your life and never show your face to my family again. Spare them the sight of you with that. I hung up the phone. Chapter 3. A soft knock came from outside the door. I composed myself and opened it to find my mother, her eyes filled with concern. Sincere, are you all right? I thought I heard you on the phone just now. Your voice was quite loud. She asked cautiously, Did you and Victoria have a fight? I forced a smile. It's nothing, Mom. Just some company business. A bit tricky. But it's all sorted out now. Don't you worry. My mother breathed a sigh of relief. As long as everything is all right, that's good. By the way, is Victoria coming home for the holiday weekend? My heart sank. Meeting my mother's expectant gaze, I tried to keep my tone as natural as possible. Mom, Victoria's company just landed a huge project. It's very urgent, so she can't get away. She said she'll come see you as soon as she's finished with her work. The light in my mother's eyes dimmed, but she still managed to smile. Work is important, but her health is more important. You should tell Victoria not to push herself so hard. It's not like our family can't support her. If it's too much, she could always come work at our company. It would be less stressful. Listening to my mother's words, my heart filled with a mix of emotions. Mom, Victoria is career-driven. We should respect her choices. My mother nodded. You're right. As long as you two are happy and doing well, we old folks can rest easy. All right, come on out and eat. I made your favorites today, pot roast and chocolate fudge cake. At the dinner table, my mother kept putting food on my plate, telling me to eat more. My father was quieter, occasionally glancing at me. After dinner, my father called me into his study. Are those posts online true? The truth, it seemed, couldn't be hidden forever. I nodded. My father was silent for a few seconds, his expression complex. You and Victoria. My voice was a bit hoarse. Dad, this marriage, I don't think it can be saved. My father came over and clapped me on the shoulder. Sincere, your mother and I wanted you to get married so you could be happy, not to be trapped in a terrible marriage that drags you down. You don't have to consider us. Do what you feel you need to do. Your mom and I will always be your strongest supporters. As for your mother, my father paused. Her health is fragile right now. The doctor said she can't handle any major shocks. Once she's stronger, I'll find the right time to tell her the truth. She adores you, she will understand. Thanks, Dad. 1,000 words were condensed into those two. For the next few days, I turned off my phone to spend quality time at home with my parents. Chapter 4. When the holiday was over, I turned my phone back on to see 99 missed calls and messages. They were all from Victoria Blackwood. I didn't bother calling back or listening to the voicemails. I went straight to the office. When I arrived at my office door, I found it had been completely cleared out, and Leo Chase had moved in. I grabbed a passing HR employee and asked, "What's going on here?" The employee answered timidly, "It was Miss Blackwood." Miss Blackwood arranged it. A fire of rage ignited within me, and I stormed toward the conference room. Victoria was in the middle of a meeting. I threw the door open and demanded, "Victoria Blackwood, what happened to my office?" "Explain yourself." The meeting came to a halt. All eyes were on me. She waved her hand, dismissing everyone from the room. Once the door was closed, Victoria calmly sat in her chair and began, "Your post caused significant damage to the company's reputation, so after a discussion, the board unanimously decided to suspend you." I stared at her and laughed in disbelief. "I caused damage to the company? Victoria, you're a master at shifting blame. You push the consequences of your own disgusting actions onto me. How did I never realize how shameless you are?" Her face flushed red and she frowned in displeasure. "Regardless of what you say, this was the result of the board's decision. Do you want to see who the public is vilifying?" I took out my phone, intending to open the comments section of my post, but I discovered that my post had been reported and deleted. All related discussions and news articles had also vanished without a trace. Seeing me scroll through my social media feed, a flicker of guilt crossed Victoria's face. "You published a false statement, refused to delete or clarify it, and kept your phone off. I couldn't reach you, so I had to take matters into my own hands to clear things up." Sure enough, on the company's official website, I found a clarification statement. It claimed my account had been hacked and used to post false information, and they apologized for the misuse of public resources. It also announced my temporary resignation as general manager, with Leo Chase appointed as the interim replacement. I clutched my phone, fury rising in my chest. "On what grounds? Who gave you the authority to do this?" Victoria was self-righteous and unruffled. "This was the only way I could save the company. Even though your account was hacked, you were still negligent in securing it. To quell the public outcry, we had to have you step back for a while. Besides, this whole mess started because of you. Leo is only managing things temporarily. When you come back in a while, he'll give the office back to you." I saw right through her lies. "Stop feeding me these high and mighty excuses. Victoria, were you that desperate to promote Leo Chase? We're not even divorced yet." Victoria's brow furrowed in annoyance. "I've already explained it to you. There's nothing going on between Leo and me. Stop being so unreasonable. Everything I did was for the good of the company." I mercilessly exposed her hypocrisy. "My mother is sick. I begged you for 2 weeks to come home with me for the holiday weekend to see them. You refused without a second thought, and in the blink of an eye, you're in a maid's outfit, cheering on your assistant. I made one post, and to protect him, you had all the news about it wiped from the internet, and you pinned all the blame on me. He's a new intern, an assistant with mediocre skills and no experience, yet you didn't hesitate to give him my position as general manager. Victoria, you know better than anyone, whether this was for the company or for yourself. I must have been blind to marry a promiscuous woman like you." I grabbed a contract from the table and right in front of her tore it to shreds. Victoria erupted in fury. "Sincere Morgan, what are you doing? Are you insane? That's the company's core project for the second half of the year." I tossed the pieces into the air, letting them flutter to the floor. "I brought in this contract. I can tear it up if I want to." I backed her into a corner, my fist slamming against the wall in anger. "Victoria, you will regret this. You will pay for what you've done." Seeing the bloodlust in my eyes, a flicker of panic crossed hers. "Sincere Morgan, this is the office. Don't you dare do anything crazy, fearing I might do something more extreme," she yelled towards the door. "Security, get Mr. Morgan out of here." Now I was dragged out of the office by a group of security guards and thrown out onto the street. Shaking with rage, I immediately called my lawyer and instructed him to draft a divorce agreement. Then I called my assistant. "How is the disengagement from the Blackwood Corporation's collaborations going?" His answer made my heart sink. "Mr. Morgan, those projects, they haven't been stopped. Miss Blackwood called your father." I immediately dialed my father's number. "Dad, what's going on?" My father sighed, his voice tired. "She threatened me with your private photos. Sincere, you acted too rashly." I clenched my fists. "Dad, just give me some time. I'll handle everything." Chapter 5. I went home. Victoria didn't return that night, not a single phone call, and the company made no move to ask me back. Leo Chase's social media, on the other hand, was bustling. He posted daily, as if punching a clock, finding new ways to show off his lovey-dovey relationship with Victoria. I scrolled past the posts with a blank expression. Let them have their fun for a few more days. It wouldn't be long before their party was over for good. During this time, I had no intention of actively seeking them out. Who knew they'd walk right into the line of fire themselves? One day, I had just picked out a birthday gift for my mother and was leaving the mall. Passing by a car dealership, I saw two familiar figures. Leo was circling a brand new Porsche, his face alight with excitement. Victoria stood to one side, watching him with a smile, holding a purchase agreement in her hand. The sales manager was bowing and scraping beside her. I walked into the dealership. The sales manager saw me, froze for a moment, and then greeted me with even greater enthusiasm. "Mr. Morgan, are you here to look at cars as well?" I glanced at the gaudy, bright yellow sports car. "I'll take this one." The smile on Leo's face instantly froze. Victoria's face turned ashen. "Sincere, Morgan, what do you think you're doing?" I smiled back. "Nothing much. I saw it. I liked it, so I'm buying it." The sales manager looked troubled. "Mr. Morgan, Miss Blackwood has already put a deposit on it. It's for Mr. Chase here." I pulled out my premium VIP black card and asked again, "Are you sure you want to lose me as a client for him?" Seeing the card, the sales manager's face went pale. He immediately turned to the pair and apologized. "I'm sorry, Miss Blackwood, but this car cannot be sold. Perhaps you could look at some of the other models?" Victoria was furious. "On what grounds?" "We were here first," I raised an eyebrow and said nonchalantly. "On the grounds that I'm one of their top-tier members. Everyone has to make way for me." Without another glance at them, I went with the sales manager to complete the payment, swiped the card, signed the papers, all in one smooth motion. When the keys were in my hand, I shot them a smile. Right in front of them, I swaggered out and drove the luxury car away. Chapter 6. I thought the incident at the dealership was just a minor skirmish. I never expected that the very next morning, my assistant, Chris Carter, would call in a panic. "Mr. Morgan, it's bad, Ms. Blackwood. She's put all of your personal collectibles up for auction." Chris quickly sent me a few screenshots. The auction house's catalog prominently featured my entire collection of antique paintings, sculptures, and rare artifacts, which I had spent years acquiring. Each piece was priceless. But the most eye-catching item was an emerald bracelet. It was the Morgan family heirloom, which my mother had given to Victoria, instructing her to take good care of it. Rage surged through me. By the time I reached the auction house, the bidding for the bracelet was just beginning. The auctioneer's voice boomed through the hall. "Our next item is a flawless emerald green bracelet. The bidding starts at $8 million. Under the spotlight lay my family's heirloom." Stop! My voice cut through the room, and the hall fell silent. Victoria, sitting in the front row, turned to see me, her eyes cold as ice. Leo was nestled beside her, smirking at me with a triumphant tilt of his chin. The auctioneer was at a loss. I walked to the stage. "This bracelet cannot be auctioned." Victoria stood up and walked toward me, her tone defiant. "And why can't it be auctioned?" "Sincere, Morgan, once you gave it to me, it became mine. I have the right to do whatever I want with it." $10 million, I said, bidding directly. "I'll buy it back myself," Victoria sneered. "I'm not selling it to you." "Sincere, Morgan, I will not engage in any transaction with you." "Victoria, don't push it." I stared at her, My fists clenched tight. As we stood at a stalemate, Leo suddenly stood up and spoke in a falsely conciliatory tone. "Victoria, darling, since Mr. Morgan wants it so badly, let's just give it back to him. We shouldn't let this ruin the mood." Then he reached for the bracelet. The next second, with a sharp crack, the bracelet slipped from his hand, fell to the floor, and shattered into several pieces. I grabbed Leo by the collar, my eyes bloodshot. "You bastard, did you do that on purpose?" I raised my fist to strike him down. Victoria shoved me away, shielding Leo behind her. "Sincere, are you crazy? Of course he didn't do it on purpose. Can you stop being so unreasonable?" "Unreasonable?" I laughed, the sound dripping with rage. Seeing her protect him like that, the last shred of affection I had for her was severed completely. I took out my phone and dialed a number for the company's senior management. "Notify everyone. Sever all business ties with the Blackwood Corporation." Immediately, right now, the color drained from Victoria's face. "Sincere Morgan, have you lost your mind? Over this stupid little thing, you're going to attack the foundation of both our families? My father won't agree, and your father will never agree either." I sneered and took the letter of appointment as chairman of Morgan Corporation from my assistant, throwing it in her face. "Open your damn eyes and read. From this day forward, I have full authority over Morgan Corporation." Her face turned deathly white. "Sincere Morgan, are you really going to be this heartless? Victoria, you were the one who was unjust first. Don't blame me for being unrighteous." She glared at me, her teeth clenched as she bit out each word. "Fine, Sincere Morgan. You forced me to do this. If you insist on this, then don't blame me for—" Taking us both down in flames, she pulled a USB drive from her purse and handed it to the auction house owner beside her. "Boss, this video will be today's grand finale for the auction. That USB drive was the same one she had used to threaten my father. It contained my private photos." "Victoria, are you sure you want to go this far?" I asked coldly. "Yes," she shrieked. "Sincere Morgan, you're the one trying to destroy me. If that's the case, then let's all go down together." I looked at her crazed expression. "Fine. Don't you regret it?" The contents of the USB drive began to play on the auction house's massive screen. The next second, the triumphant and crazed look on Victoria's face froze, replaced by shock and disbelief, and Leo's face in an instant turned as white as a sheet. How is this possible? Chapter 7. On the screen, several explicit hotel bed photos slowly appeared, accompanied by a video filled with indecent sounds, and the subjects of the video and photos were none other than my wife and her assistant. Victoria's pupils constricted. She stared at the screen, her lips trembling, all the color draining from her face. Leo was ashen-faced, swaying on his feet, looking as though he might collapse. Everyone in the room began to whisper, pointing at Victoria and Leo. "My God, look at that. Well, Miss Blackwood always seemed so proper. I didn't expect her to be so wild in private. Victoria Blackwood is a disgrace to her family. Stupid, vicious, and brainless, and Leo Chase is just a piece of trash." They're a perfect match. The owner of the auction house, who had been bowing and scraping before Victoria, now looked at her with contempt and disgust. How could this be?" Victoria whipped her head around to face me, screaming, her voice trembling. "Sincere Morgan, this is your doing, isn't it?" I sneered. "Victoria, weren't you eager for everyone to see the grand finale?" I took a step forward, my voice low but clear enough to carry through the stirring crowd. "Well, are you satisfied with this finale?" Victoria's chest heaved violently, the hand pointing at me, shaking uncontrollably. "You're despicable, you're shameless," she shrieked. I raised an eyebrow and smiled coldly. "When it comes to shamelessness, who could possibly compare to you? Didn't you want to publicize the contents of that USB drive? I was just helping you fulfill your wish." I looked at her calmly and continued, "Oh, and by the way, I was afraid the reach here might be too small for your liking. So I contacted a few entertainment reporters and hired 50,000 paid online trolls to simultaneously post these videos and photos all over the internet. After today, you two will be completely famous. You could say I learned this trick from her. If she could get those keyboard warriors to wipe out so-called negative press overnight, I figured they'd be just as effective at spreading it. My gaze swept over her and Leo. By the way, besides these private photos and videos, there's also a complete chain of evidence proving that you and your little assistant stole commercial data from Morgan Corporation. Oh, and I almost forgot. I also bought dozens of trending topic slots. I'm sure you'll be seeing them very soon. The next second, Victoria's phone rang. Her secretary's panicked voice was clearly audible even from a distance. "Ms. Blackwood, it's terrible, your photos with Mr. Chase. They're all over the internet. Our stock, it's plummeting. It's about to hit its limit down. Several of our major partners just called to say they're canceling all their contracts immediately. Everyone online they're saying horrible things." The hand holding the phone dropped limply to Victoria's side. Her eyes were bloodshot as she stared at me. "Sincere Morgan, I'm going to kill you," she screamed, completely losing control, and lunged at me like a wild animal. I stood my ground, watching her frantic display with cold eyes. Just as her hand was about to touch me, "Police don't move." Several uniformed officers rushed in, separating us. Seeing the police, Victoria clung to them as if they were a lifeline, pointing at me and screaming hysterically. "Officers, it was him. He's the one who spread rumors and slandered me, and Leo, arrest him. Arrest him." Now the lead officer gave her a blank look. Then he walked past me and went straight to Leo, who was standing by, pale and terrified. With a sharp click, a pair of cold handcuffs snapped around Leo's wrists. Chapter 8. Leo Chase, you are under arrest on suspicion of stealing major trade secrets from the Morgan Corporation. You're coming with us for questioning. The officer's voice was devoid of any warmth. Leo looked as if all the strength had been drained from him, his face a deathly pale sheet. He shot a look at Victoria, his eyes filled with a mixture of venom and pleading, his voice sharp. "It wasn't me. It was her. Victoria Blackwood ordered me to do it. She made me do everything." Victoria's eyes widened in disbelief, staring at the man who just moments before had been her intimate partner. Now, he was unhesitatingly throwing all the blame onto her. Shaking with rage, she swung her hand and slapped Leo hard across the face. "Leo Chase, you despicable, shameless scoundrel, what nonsense are you spouting? When did I ever order you to do such a thing?" Leo clutched his cheek, his eyes growing even more sinister. "Ms. Blackwood, at a time like this, do you really think you can walk away clean?" He turned to the police, his tone urgent. "Officers, don't believe her. She's the mastermind behind all of this. I have proof. I have emails and chat logs of her instructing me to steal trade secrets from Morgan Corporation. If you're taking me, you have to take her for questioning too." The lead officer frowned and motioned for a subordinate to take the phone Leo was offering. He quickly scrolled through the so-called evidence. A moment later, the officer's gaze fell back on Victoria, now filled with scrutiny. He started walking toward her. When Victoria saw the officer actually approaching her, the arrogance in her eyes instantly vanished. She was utterly panicked. She knew she had been backstabbed and cornered by this ungrateful snake, Leo. This man would do anything to save his own skin. With a thud, Victoria's legs gave out, and she collapsed to her knees before me. She clung to my leg, her face streaked with tears and snot, all traces of the high and mighty CEO gone. Sincere Morgan. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I was blind. My heart was clouded. I was fooled by this scoundrel. Leo, please, can you forgive me just this once? I'm begging you, save me for the sake of the years we were married. Please help me. I looked down at her pathetic state, feeling not a ripple of emotion. It's too late, Victoria. My voice was calm but resolute. I gave you so many chances. Did you ever cherish a single one? Even now you're still trying to pin all the blame on Leo. But isn't the real culprit you? If you hadn't given him those ambiguous signals, making him think he had a chance. If you hadn't, for your own selfish desires, given him privileges far beyond those of an assistant, how could he have become so reckless? And how could he have so easily obtained core data from Morgan Corporation? Victoria's hands, clutching my leg, went stiff. She looked up, her tear-filled eyes brimming with despair. Seeing that begging wasn't working, her eyes darted around, and her tone shifted again, this time to one of threat. "Sincere Morgan, don't forget, we are husband and wife. The interests of Blackwood and Morgan are deeply intertwined. We rise and fall together if something happens to me. Victoria Blackwood, you, Sincere Morgan, and your whole family won't get off easy. Do you really think you can wash your hands of this?" I sneered and took a file from my assistant. Then, I ruthlessly threw it in her face. "Victoria, read this carefully. While your photos with Leo were going viral online, our divorce decree was finalized. Legally speaking, as of now, we are no longer husband and wife. Your business is your own. It has nothing to do with me or the Morgan Corporation. You're on your own." Without another glance, I kicked her hand away and turned to leave. Behind me, I could hear Victoria's heart-wrenching screams as she was led away, a sound of pure, piercing despair. Chapter 9. Morgan Corporation had cut off all financing to the Blackwood Corporation. All business ties had been severed. Seeing our decisive action, other major investors reacted swiftly, choosing sides and pulling their capital out of Blackwood. As a result, all of Victoria's family projects came to a screeching halt. Their stock plummeted for days on end, becoming virtually worthless. Her parents begged for help everywhere they went, but were met with closed doors. No one dared to extend a hand to them at such a critical time. The complete collapse of their cash flow left them facing astronomical breach of contract penalties. The storm of their downfall was the talk of the town. Under careful medical supervision, my mother's health gradually improved. I found a suitable moment and told her everything that had happened. After listening, my mother simply patted my hand gently. Her eyes held no blame, only a deep sense of compassion. "Sincere, you've been through so much." Her understanding and empathy finally allowed the tight knot of tension in my heart to loosen. One day I was sitting with my mother in the living room, enjoying a rare moment of peace. Victoria's parents, carrying bags filled with expensive gifts and health supplements, arrived uninvited. The moment they walked in, they warmly grasped my mother's hands, showering her with questions and feigned concern. "My dear family, are you feeling better? We came especially to see you." My mother responded politely, but with a noticeable distance. I sneered inwardly. During the entire time my mother was sick, they had never once bothered to visit. Now that the Blackwood empire was on the verge of collapse, they were suddenly desperate to curry favor. My mother was still recovering and shouldn't be subjected to any major stress. Sensing the scene was about to turn ugly, I helped her back to her room to rest. When I returned to the living room, I stared at them with a blank expression. Reginald Blackwood wrung his hands, his face plastered with a cautious smile, as he tentatively began. "Sincere, my boy, how have things been with you and Victoria lately? Why so suddenly? Have all the business dealings between our families been cut off? Did Victoria do something wrong? Did she make you angry? You tell me, and I'll be sure to teach her a lesson." Before he could finish, my father descended the stairs, his face grim. My father's sharp exclamation made Reginald and Eleanor Blackwood freeze. "You Blackwoods are all shameless. One more than the next, your own daughter committed such an indecent, disgraceful act, bringing shame to her name. A scandal known throughout the city, scorned by all, and you have the gall to come to my home and ask my son what your daughter did wrong. The rumors are flying everywhere. Are you too deaf or blind that you wouldn't know? You're old foxes who have been around for decades. Stop playing the innocent victim in front of me." My father's tirade left them pale and sweating profusely. They exchanged a glance and then, with a thud, both fell to their knees before my father and me. "My dear family, Mr. Morgan, it's our fault for not raising our daughter right. We have wronged the Morgan family. It's all our fault." Eleanor Blackwood was sobbing uncontrollably, pointing at the mountain of gifts beside them. "This is just a small token of our remorse. We came to apologize for the sake of our past relationship, please." My eyes were cold as I gave a subtle nod to my assistant. Understanding my signal, Chris stepped forward and mercilessly swept all the beautifully wrapped gifts to the floor. Expensive porcelain, supplements, liquor, and wine shattered, creating a cacophony of breaking glass and a complete mess. "The Morgan family does not accept trash." My voice was calm but utterly final. "And trash like the Blackwoods are not welcome in our home." Ignoring the debris on the floor and the risk of cutting themselves on the broken shards, Reginald and Eleanor began to kowtow frantically before my father and me, their foreheads repeatedly striking the floor with audible thuds. "Mr. Morgan, Sincere, we're begging you, please have mercy, please spare the Blackwood family. A century-old legacy can't be destroyed in our hands. We're begging you, we're atoning for our sins." Their hysterical cries held no interest for me. I had seen enough of these crocodile tears and would no longer be moved by them. "Butler." I couldn't even be bothered to look at them. "Throw them out." Chapter 10. A few days later, I heard that Victoria's parents had used what little influence they had left to bail her out of the detention center. It had cost them dearly. It seemed they still believed she was their last hope. How laughable. She was the one who had started this inferno. How could they expect her to put it out? Sure enough, Victoria was released. When my assistant reported it, he mentioned one detail. I heard the first thing she did after getting out was arrange for someone on the inside to take care of Leo Chase. It was to be expected. Dogs biting dogs. The day she was bailed out, news also came from the Blackwood family estate. Victoria had been beaten half to death by her parents. Then, like a piece of garbage, she was dumped outside the gates of my family's estate. Her father had left her with an ultimatum. "If Sincere Morgan doesn't forgive you, you can die out there. The Blackwood family doesn't have a daughter like you." Victoria, wearing only thin clothes, was covered in wounds. She knelt on the cold ground, kowtowing repeatedly toward the closed iron gates. Her forehead quickly started to bleed. "Sincere, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Please, I'm begging you, spare the Blackwood family. I'm on my knees. I'm atoning for everything." Her cries were hoarse and piercing. A crowd of onlookers soon gathered at the gates. The flash of phone cameras was relentless. The once high and mighty CEO of the Blackwood Corporation had become a public spectacle, a laughingstock. "She deserves it. This is karma." Online, photos and videos of her were everywhere, accompanied by the most vile and mocking captions. I never showed my face. The gates of the Morgan estate remained firmly shut. She kept kowtowing, until her forehead was a mess of blood and torn flesh, until she collapsed from exhaustion, the wounds becoming infected and causing a high fever. Finally, she passed out. The people her parents had sent to watch her from the shadows dragged her away like a dead dog. A few days later, the Blackwood Corporation officially declared bankruptcy and went into liquidation. A century-old legacy toppled in an instant. As I signed the final documents related to the matter, I felt a sense of calm. They got what they deserved. News of Leo Chase came soon after. He had some tricks up his sleeve and had managed to secure a way out for himself. It wasn't long before he was released. I heard he had suffered greatly inside, all thanks to Victoria. He would surely remember that kindness well. With the Blackwood family bankrupt and Victoria's reputation in ruins, she was a social pariah. It was then that Leo found her. No one knew how he tracked her down, and no one knew where he took her. Victoria Blackwood had disappeared. A month later, her body was discovered by the police in an abandoned warehouse. The cause of death was ruled a suicide. The autopsy report revealed that she had been subjected to prolonged abuse before her death. Her body was covered in both old and new injuries, some so deep they exposed the bone. To prevent her from dying of infection, her tormentor had disinfected her wounds with alcohol every day. The agony must have been worse than death itself. Leo's methods were crueler than I could have imagined. He had repaid the torture he endured inside tenfold upon Victoria. Leo was arrested soon after. He didn't hire a lawyer. In court, he ranted that a person like Victoria Blackwood deserved to die. Ultimately, for the crime of intentional homicide and his complete lack of remorse, he was sentenced to death. Victoria's parents, after identifying their daughter's mutilated body, completely lost their minds. They had lost their daughter, their fortune, everything. Eventually, they were found on the streets. Dressed in rags, their minds gone, they wandered like zombies. Not long after, their bodies were found on a street corner, unburied and unclaimed. The story of the Blackwood family had come to its final tragic end. Several months later, I had taken full control of the Morgan Corporation. My father, finally able to rest easy, decided to retire. He and my mother began a trip around the world. My mother's health, with rest and care in different climates, improved day by day. They sent me postcards and photos from every new place they visited. Seeing the smiles on my parents' faces, I felt it was the most beautiful thing in the world. Several years passed in a flash. Under my leadership, Morgan Corporation expanded steadily, eventually becoming a global force. On the world's commercial map, the Morgan Corporation carved out its own significant place. It also gained a corresponding voice of authority. I stood on the top floor of the corporate headquarters, looking up at the stars. The people and events of the past had long since been cast from my mind, turned to dust, unworthy of another thought. I was moving toward a much brighter future. The end.